Welcome to Horse Sense, where every hoofbeat carries a story, and every flick of the tail hides a meaning. Here, we explore the wisdom, wonder, and history of horses. One tale, one fact, one moment at a time. Whether you're a lifelong rider, a curious mind, or just someone who loves the beauty of these majestic animals, you're in the right place, so saddle up. And let's discover what horses have been trying to tell us all along. In barns and fields across the world, something beautiful happens every single day, quietly, without most of us even noticing. A horse leans gently into another, lowers its head, and together they stand in perfect stillness. No commands, no fences holding them close, just trust, just presence, just friendship. Yes, friendship. It might sound like a human word, a concept reserved for our species and our stories. But watch a bonded pair of horses long enough and you start to wonder, do they feel it too? Do horses have best friends? And if they do, what does it look like? How deep does it go? What happens when one is taken away? This isn't just curiosity. Understanding how horses form and maintain emotional bonds is key to giving them fuller, healthier lives. And perhaps, along the way, their stories remind us of something essential we've forgot. To understand equine friendship, we first need to leave behind our human assumptions. Horses don't text each other, they don't meet for coffee, they don't gossip about the new gelding in the next pasture. But they do connect in ways that are just as meaningful. In horse language, friendship is shown through body, breath, and behavior. Two bonded horses will stand head to tail, swishing flies from each other's faces. They'll share space, the ultimate currency in the animal world. They'll synchronize their eating, resting, and even breathing rhythms. If one moves, the other follows. If one gets startled, the other is instantly alert. And in quiet moments, they rest their heads across each other's backs. This isn't random. These are consistent behaviors that indicate trust, familiarity, and most of all, preference. Horses form selective bonds. They don't just pair up with whoever's nearby. They choose who makes them feel safe, who reads their body cues, who doesn't challenge them unnecessarily, who simply gets them sound familiar. It should, because at its core, friendship, whether human or horse, is about recognition. The sense that in this noisy, uncertain world, there is one other being who understands you. In the vast, open fields where horses roam, companionship isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a necessity. Safety, communication, and emotional regulation all rely on the presence of others. But within that wide circle of the herd, something special happens. Horses form selective, lasting bonds. In short, they choose best friends. But how does a horse choose its best friend? Is it instinct, behavior, scent, or something even deeper? Studies of herd dynamics show that horses do not bond equally with all members of the herd. Instead, they gravitate towards specific individuals. These bonds can last for years, even a lifetime. And when separated, horses can show signs of distress, depression, and even physical illness. Just like humans who miss someone they love, the buddy bond begins with body language. Two horses may start grazing near one another more than they do with others. They'll walk together, rest together, and most telling of all, groom each other. Mutual grooming is one of the strongest signs of affection and connection in equine language. They'll stand head to shoulder, gently nibbling at each other's backs. It's both soothing and intimate. Proximity matters. Horses who are best friends will almost always be found near each other. In a large pasture, they may choose to stay within inches, even when there's plenty of space to spread out. Interestingly, not all horses bond with the same intensity. Some are social butterflies floating between many companions. Others are more selective, attaching deeply to just one or two individuals. Age, past trauma, breed tendencies, and early socialization all play a role. But no matter the origin, one thing remains clear: the herd is not a hierarchy of cold instincts. It's a living, breathing emotional network. And within that network, best friends aren't assigned, they're chosen. Some horses show preference for companions of the same sex, while others bond across genders. Young foals often form early friendships that echo long into adulthood. Elderly horses find solace in old companions, and sometimes even a newly introduced horse will be love at first sight, an immediate bond that seems to transcend logic. There are countless stories from horse owners and caretakers, tales of bonded pairs who call for each other across fences, who refuse to eat when separated, who grow anxious or despondent if a friend is sold, relocated, or lost. These aren't just habits, they're attachments, deep, emotional, and real. So the next time you see two horses standing nose to nose in a quiet moment of stillness, know this: you're witnessing more than a pause, you're witnessing trust, affection, and perhaps a lifelong friendship written in silence. If you've ever watched two horses grooming each other, walking side by side, or standing quietly together while the rest of the herd grazes elsewhere, you've probably wondered, are they just companions, or are they truly friends? For centuries, humans have revered horses for their strength, beauty, and spirit. But behind those expressive eyes and powerful bodies is something quieter, gentler, and more relatable: the capacity for deep emotional bonds. This voiceover journey will take you deep into the emotional world of horses, uncovering the truth behind their friendships, what science reveals, what experience teaches, and what the heart knows. Because yes, horses do have best friends, and once you see how, you may never look at them the same way again. To understand equine friendship, horses are social animals evolved to survive in groups. In the wild, a horse without a herd is a horse without protection, guidance, or warmth. The herd is a safety. The herd is a life. But within this structure, not all relationships are equal. Horses form subgroups. They pick favorites. They bond more strongly with some than others. Much like human societies, horse herds have complex social hierarchies, and at the heart of these systems are friendships, reciprocal emotional connections that serve both survival and comfort. These bonds aren't casual. They're based on trust built over time, shared experiences, and mutual care. And when two horses bond deeply, they mirror something incredibly human: loyalty. Horse friendships are not loud, flashy, or performative. They are quiet, deliberate, and deeply felt. You might see two bonded horses standing head to tail, flicking flies from each other's faces in the sun, or walking in perfect sync without needing to be led, or sharing a hay pile without a hint of aggression, despite food often being a trigger for dominance. One of the clearest signs of a strong friendship is mutual grooming. This isn't just a cleaning service, it's a social ritual. Horses groom one another in specific spots they can't reach themselves, like the withers and neck. As they do, they often close their eyes, soften their ears, and lean into the touch. Grooming lowers heart rates, releases endorphins, and strengthens bonds. It's affection in its purest form. You might also notice how bonded horses call out if separated, pace the fence line, or even refuse to eat until they're reunited. Their anxiety is real, their loyalty is unwavering, and it's not just about closeness. Equine best friends provide emotional support during times of stress. A nervous horse loading into a trailer may calm down if its companion is beside it. A sick or aging horse may be comforted by the presence of its bonded friend. There are stories from stables and pastures all over the world about horses mourning the loss of a companion, standing in the spot where they last saw them, calling into silence, withdrawing from the herd. Grief, too, is a sign of love. Best friendship among horses is not an abstract concept. It's as tangible as breath and heartbeat. And once you learn to recognize the signs, you'll start to see the sacred simplicity of their social world. For centuries, horse lovers and caretakers have spoken about the emotional lives of horses based on observation and experience. But in recent years, science has stepped in to validate what many of us already felt in our bones. Horses are capable of complex social bonds, emotional memory, and friendship. Researchers have discovered that horses recognize individual herd members not just by sight, but by sound, scent, and even subtle behavioral cues. Studies have shown that horses display clear preferences for some individuals over others. They will choose to spend time near their favored companions and will even become distressed if separated. In one landmark study, scientists observed domestic horses in open paddocks and tracked how often they stood near one another, groomed each other, or moved together as a unit. Patterns emerged. Specific pairs consistently sought each other out while others remained neutral. These bonds were not random. They were consistent across seasons, changes in environment, and even through social disruptions like new horses being introduced. Even more fascinating, researchers used heart rate monitors to measure physiological stress. They found that horses had significantly lower heart rates when in the presence of their best friends. In short, being with a close companion made their bodies feel safer, calmer, and more at ease. Another study used sound recordings to measure how horses react to different whinnies. Horses responded more strongly and more calmly to the vocalizations of their close companions than to unfamiliar voices. They not only recognized their friend's voice but seemed to take comfort in it. This emerging field of equine social cognition confirms what every groom, rider, and barn owner knows deep down: horses form emotional attachments. And those attachments affect everything from their stress levels to their willingness to work, eat, and trust. Science is finally catching up to the soul. Best friends aren't assigned in a herd. They're chosen, slowly, quietly, over time. And if you observe closely, you'll begin to see the subtle dance that unfolds between two horses who are forming a bond. It doesn't happen overnight. At first, it might begin with proximity, two horses who graze near one another more often than with the others. Then it becomes about comfort. Standing closer when resting, not reacting when the other comes near, sharing space without tension. Eventually, it becomes unmistakable. Where one goes, the other follows. Where one lies down, the other stands guard. But what drives that choice? Temperament plays a major role. Horses, like humans, have personalities. Some are bold and curious, others quiet and reserved. Best friendships often form between horses whose energies match or perfectly balance. A nervous horse may find reassurance in a calm companion. Two playful horses may mirror each other's joy. Two old souls may simply enjoy the silence together. Shared experiences also forge bonds. Horses who go through significant moments together, travel, illness, training, or even trauma, often develop deeper attachments. Like humans who survive challenges together, horses who lean on each other in hard times remember who stood beside them. Familiarity matters too. Horses raised together, stabled side by side, or turned out together consistently are more likely to bond. But this isn't just about repetition, it's about time and trust. Horses remember who was kind, who didn't bite, who moved aside without a fight. These small acts of respect and recognition build a foundation of friendship. Body language plays a silent but powerful role. Horses read each other constantly: ears, eyes, tail flicks, muscle tension. A friend is someone whose signals are understood and respected. There's no confusion, no need to assert dominance, just ease. Interestingly, horses are also known to be selective. Not every horse they meet becomes a friend. Some they merely tolerate, others they avoid, but when a true bond forms, it is unmistakable. It's not dominance, it's not a habit, it's something deeper: choice, recognition, and connection. So the next time you see two horses standing side by side under a tree, not touching but not moving apart, know that you're witnessing a friendship. One that wasn't forced, but chosen. Loss is not unique to humans. It doesn't require language, it requires only love and the absence of the one who held it. When a horse loses their best friend, something in them changes. You might see it in their eyes first, searching, scanning. You might hear it in the calls, the whinnies stretched into silence, unanswered. Or in the body, pacing near the spot where they last stood together. Waiting, hoping, not understanding. Grief in horses is real. Caretakers have seen horses stop eating, grow listless, or isolate themselves when a bonded companion dies or is taken away. Some call out for days, others grow quiet altogether. It's not just about herd disruption. Horses form emotional attachments that go deeper than routine. When those attachments are broken, the horse feels it in the body: elevated stress hormones, disrupted digestion, changes in sleep, just as humans do. Sometimes the remaining horse will stand in the exact place where their friend last laid. They may return to it again and again, like a living shrine. Some will stop engaging with the rest of the herd even if others approach. They're not lonely for just any company, they're missing that one. Grief moves into them and changes the rhythm of the day, but here's something even more beautiful. In time, many horses can bond again. Not as a replacement, but as a renewal. Given gentle introductions and safe space, a grieving horse may find another soul to walk beside. It may take weeks, it may take years. But the heart remembers how to love even after it breaks. There are stories of horses bonding more deeply with humans in the wake of such loss. It's as if, in their vulnerability, they seek out a steady presence, someone who doesn't leave. A reminder that connection is still possible. Some horses never forget. They recognize their lost friends' scent long after they're gone. Some will call out if they catch that scent in the air again. Others will look toward the horizon when they hear a familiar truck, hoping. Because when a horse chooses someone, horse or human, they don't let go easily. They don't just move on, they hold on in the heart. And that is how you know it was real. In the quiet world of horses, there are no words, only gestures, presence, and energy. And perhaps that's why their friendships teach us so much about our own. When we look at how horses bond, we see a reflection of what we long for as humans: connection without pressure, acceptance without condition, trust that is built slowly through shared experience, not performance. Horses don't choose their best friends based on status or strength. They're drawn to presence, to how they feel around another. Calm invites calm, safety attracts safety. In many ways, their instincts are more emotionally intelligent than our social media-driven minds. They remind us that friendship isn't flashy. It's not how loudly someone praises us, but how quietly they stay. A horse's best friend isn't the one who brings the most, it's the one who doesn't leave. In a world that often celebrates the individual, horses remind us of the power of companionship. That strength is not always in independence, but in knowing where to lean. In letting someone stand beside us when the winds pick up. They show us that grieving is sacred, that it's okay to miss someone, to wait, to ache. And still, eventually, to open up again, not by forgetting, but by loving differently. Horses teach us about emotional memory, that what's felt is not forgotten, that bodies remember touch, tone, rhythm. And that love, real love, leaves an imprint that time cannot erase. Even more profoundly, horses teach us about listening, about attunement, about noticing the subtle shifts in breath, posture, intention. About slowing down enough to hear what's unspoken, because that's what friendship is. It's not just sharing the good times, it's learning the language of presence. It's knowing when someone needs space and when they need closeness. It's walking beside, not in front of. And finally, horses remind us that the best friendships are mutual. So when you see two horses nuzzling in the quiet of a golden afternoon, when you watch them move as one, pause as one, rest as one, know this. That's not just herd instinct. That's friendship in its most ancient, honest form. And in seeing it, something inside us remembers who we were before the noise. When we talk about horses in therapy, we often focus on what they do for us, how their presence calms anxiety, how their reactions reflect our inner states, how their quiet acceptance offers a kind of healing that talk therapy sometimes can't. But we rarely ask who heals the horse. The answer often is another horse. In equine-assisted therapy programs across the world, therapists, counselors, and horse specialists have noticed something remarkable: that the emotional well-being of a therapy horse is deeply influenced by their social life. Just like humans, horses need community, and more importantly, they need connection within that community. Therapy horses who are bonded with a stable companion, a best friend, show increased emotional resilience, decreased stress markers, and a greater willingness to engage with humans. They rest better, they eat more calmly, they return to work more consistently. Why? Because emotional safety isn't just about a safe environment, it's about safe relationships. Therapy horses give so much. They absorb trauma, mirror emotions, and often become the silent witness to someone's most vulnerable moments. And to sustain that, they need a safe emotional place to return to, not just a stall, but a friend. Many equine-assisted therapy programs now structure their turnout and stall arrangements to keep bonded horses together. If a therapy horse is going through an emotionally demanding week, they ensure their friend is nearby. Some facilities even rotate sessions to allow time for horses to decompress, not just alone, but in the quiet presence of their chosen companion. The results are profound. Clients working with bonded horse pairs often notice a softer energy, a sense that something invisible is being held in space. When a horse is emotionally supported by their best friend, they don't carry the work alone. They come back lighter, steadier. Even in groundwork sessions, horses who feel secure in their relationships are more attuned to human cues. They're more willing to engage, to trust. They regulate better and in turn help regulate the humans around them. Friendship becomes a feedback loop of healing. There's something else too. In many cases, human clients mirror the relationship between two horses. They see what secure attachment looks like, not through a textbook, but in motion. In touch, in energy. Watching two horses who trust each other can help a person reimagine what trust might feel like in their own life. Because friendship among horses isn't just comforting, it's instructive. It models the kind of presence we're all searching for, one that doesn't fix, doesn't flee, doesn't judge, just is. So the next time you witness a therapy session, look beyond the human and the horse. Look for the other horse waiting nearby, listening, holding space in their own silent way. Because healing doesn't happen in isolation, not for us, and not for them. Not all friendships last forever, but in the world of horses, some bonds do come close. There are horses who grow up together in the same pasture, who experience foalhood side by side, who learn the rules of herd life together, and who carry those shared memories into adulthood. There are mares who raise foals alongside each other, geldings who form inseparable duos, and companions who, year after year, remain each other's anchor. These relationships aren't fleeting, they're foundational. And when one half of such a bond begins to age, to grow slower, or to face illness, something quietly sacred begins to unfold. The other horse stays. You'll see them standing close, even when they could be with the rest of the herd. You'll notice them adjusting their pace, moving slower, taking fewer steps just to remain near. You'll hear less whinnying because the presence alone is enough. Aging horses with best friends often show greater emotional stability. They eat better, they rest more easily, their eyes remain softer, their posture less guarded. It's as though the relationship itself becomes a kind of medicine. And then there's the hardest part. There are countless stories from caretakers and horse owners of horses standing in the place where their companion was last seen. Of horses calling into the wind, refusing feed, pacing fences. Of horses growing quiet, withdrawn, lost. It's not anthropomorphism, it's grief. Some herds allow for a horse to approach the body of a deceased companion, to sniff, to nuzzle, to understand. Many equine behaviorists now recommend it when possible. Because closure, even in the animal world, matters. And in the weeks and months that follow, many horses will continue to search, not always actively, but with the kind of quiet, lingering energy that suggests something is missing. A pause where there used to be motion, a silence where there used to be breath. But in time, and this is important, some horses do begin to reconnect, not as a replacement, never that, but as a way forward. New friendships can form. New bonds can rise from shared pasture space and gentle interactions. The heart, even in horses, is resilient. Still, some never fully attach again, and that's okay too, because some love simply lasts a lifetime. There is dignity in equine grief, and there is poetry in their loyalty. So the next time you see two old horses standing together in a pasture, nose to nose, hip to hip, understand that you are not just witnessing companionship. You are witnessing a lifetime of memory, of shared winters and sunrises, of play fights and pasture naps, of silent understandings and deep, unwavering trust, because horses don't just remember people, they remember each other. And sometimes they remember forever. Horses have been beside us for thousands of years, pulling our carts, fighting in our wars, carrying us through mountains, fields, and time itself. But one of the most powerful lessons they offer doesn't come from what they do for us. It comes from how they treat each other. Their friendships are simple, but not shallow. They don't require words, promises, or long explanations. Horses don't keep score, they don't hide their emotions. When they feel safe with someone, they show it. When they love, they lean into it physically, emotionally, completely. And maybe that's where the first lesson lies. Trust is shown, not spoken. A horse doesn't say, "I trust you," it steps closer. It breathes easier. It relaxes its ears and lowers its head. Their friendships remind us that true connection doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's as quiet as a shared breeze between two beings who simply know they're safe with each other. We too can learn to show up with that kind of presence, not by saying more, but by listening better. By standing beside someone instead of trying to fix them. By just being there consistently, calmly, loyally. Another lesson, the value of chosen closeness. In a herd, proximity says everything. Horses choose who they stand beside. They don't cling to everyone equally, and when they do bond, it's not based on status, size, or strength. It's about energy, safety. But horses teach us the beauty of a quiet circle. One or two trusted souls can be more grounding than 1,000 acquaintances. They also remind us to grieve deeply and love anyway. When a horse loses its best friend, it doesn't pretend to be okay. It doesn't hide its sadness. It honors the absence. It mourns visibly, vulnerably. And yet over time, many horses open again, not forgetting, but healing. They teach us that grief is not the opposite of love, it is the continuation of it. And even after loss, the heart can expand again. Perhaps one of the most beautiful things horses teach us is the power of emotional memory. Horses remember how they felt with someone. They remember kindness, calm, cruelty, and care. Their bodies react to those memories long after the moments have passed. We carry the same gift and responsibility. The energy we offer others leaves a trace. The safety we create today might become the comfort someone recalls tomorrow. So as we move through our own lives, forming bonds, losing them, trusting again, maybe we can let horses be our mirror. Let's stand beside those who calm our nervous system. Let's choose presence over performance. Let's mourn our losses without shame and rebuild our trust with grace. Let's give love simply through time, touch, and tiny acts of loyalty. Because in a world that often demands speed and status, horses still live by a different truth. Connection is everything. And sometimes the quietest friendships are the ones that carry us the farthest. If a horse could speak, what might it say about friendship? Not in the way we define it, with birthday cards, long texts, or promises sealed in words, but in the way they live it. With presence, with trust, with quiet understanding. Perhaps a horse would say, "I know who calms my breath when the wind rises. I know who shares the shade with me when the sun is harsh. I know who watches the horizon when I close my eyes." Because to a horse, friendship isn't declared. It's demonstrated. You see it in the subtle lean of a body, the quiet choosing of nearness, in the lack of flinching, in the echo of hooves walking in sync, in the way two souls breathe slower just because they're together. And when humans are part of that circle, and when a horse lets you into its emotional field, it is sacred. Not because you've tamed it, but because you've been trusted by a being who does not fake safety. In the end, the horse reminds us that we don't need to speak the same language to be understood. We don't need to look alike to connect. We only need to be present, to be kind, to be real. They don't need our perfection. Only our consistency, only our respect, and maybe that's the deepest truth of all, that we don't have to be everything, not to our friends, not to our horses, not even to ourselves. We just have to show up like they do. Without walls, without noise, without trying to prove anything. Because friendship, whether on four legs or two, is not about doing more. It's about being known, being safe, being seen. So if you ever wonder whether horses have best friends, remember this, they do. And sometimes, if you're patient, honest, and quiet enough, you might just become one of them. Thank you for joining me here on Horse Sense, where every breath, hoofbeat, and flick of a tail brings us closer to the quiet wisdom horses carry. If this story stirred something in you, a memory, a thought, or simply a moment of stillness, let it stay with you. Until next time, take care and listen closely. The horses are always speaking.